Welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm Mar, and today we get to see Bahamut. Sorry about the abrupt episode ending yesterday. I just looked at the time and realized that it'd been like 35 minutes, and you know, we were still very much in the middle of this fight, and it was not going to end anytime soon. Especially since this is one of the longer fights, since it's kind of hard to even land attacks except for Barret. Yeah, let's go with countless homing lasers. That sounds like fun. Yeah, that actually did considerable damage to its health bar. Ow. Tifa, you use healing. Barret, command. Yeah, there we go. Oh, ow, ow. No likey. Do not approve. Barret have stead? Does Barret? Did I just say Barret? Does Barret have steadfast block? Anyway, let's try Umbral Strikes. Or get Scened, I guess. And just get destroyed. At least it's gonna get Mega Flared. It only did 8,000 damage, and I gotta say I was expecting more. Anyway, let's raise Barret because he's harder to kill.
Can you fight?
It is, it's following behind me real close. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's get Cloud back up.
Good to go?
But yeah, I was distracted by my my rant and didn't realize how long the last episode had been going. Ow. There we go. Okay, back to shooting. Stupid enemy, you just dropped napalm over probably some defenseless citizens, actually. Whoops. Sorry for anyone down below, I guess. At least they should be used to the idea that debris will be falling on them, right? I like how that pressured state lasted for all of, like, half a second. Yeah, I guess Barret has to just block. Not much else to do. Anyway, yeah. Next, oh, that's right, not skippable. Next stage of the boss fight, please.
What the hell?
I'm really annoyed at how it... Yeah, don't get caught in the open. I mean, I wouldn't have, except it literally pinned me with its other abilities. There. Could someone get a raise off, please? Thanks.
Watch yourself.
All right, watch and learn.
What am I supposed to do about this? 'Cause it seems to follow me indefinitely, and apparently not even Barret can shoot at the thing that's causing it, so what do I actually do here? And then it does that, which is faster than Barret, because of course it is. which means the Barret literally doesn't even have a way to avoid it. So you just don't get to control Barret for the rest of the fight.
Come on.
Yeah.
I got this.
Like, I know that might seem a little extreme, but that is literally just the result of that. If Barret isn't fast enough to outrun the attacks that are going to hit him. Also, did a significant part of Catastrophe just miss? If so, I do not agree with that situation. Ow.
Bet that laser could punch right through that barrier.
Okay, so we gotta get to hit itself with its own laser. Got it. I'll get right on that. Once I can, you know, move. Yeah, that's right. Charge up Cloud's actions. Oh. Oh, it hit it. Kind of. Close enough. Honestly, didn't think it would, but we take that. Alright, True Strike it. Barret. Use your Maximum Fury. And once True Strike is over, Star Shower. And then, I mean, it's standing still, so we all know what Cloud's doing. Since he has just enough time to unleash it. Anyway, now Barret hit everyone with a nice Cura. Why is the laser not firing? Laser. Laser, please. I'm annoyed at how that worked. Also annoyed that
Just hang on. I'm coming.
Barret got hit by that.
It's nothing.
I'm extra annoyed by how that interaction worked. But at least it didn't immediately cause Tifa to die. But if you could stand back up, that'd be great. Barret's finally not asleep. I just am so annoyed at the fact that it can just stagger me with an attack that you can't run from while I'm being chased. Like, that's a really bad combination. I'm annoyed they put both of those attacks on the same enemy. Because if you want me to have to guide it when it's targeted on me, if you want me to have to guide it like this, I mean, yeah, Tifa took a hit, but mission successful. Because I'm pretty sure that Ascension will at least stagger it and probably just kill it. Yeah. As expected.
We win again. Not that there was ever any.
Yeah, there sure was no doubt on all that. Anyway, moving on. Is that the next chapter mark or is it further? That's the next chapter mark. Cool. Only took me a little more than one episode to do chapter 15 then. Easy peasy. Okay. Let's continue on then. But anyway, what I was saying before I got distracted by the start of that boss battle is I think the only company that's mostly managed to avoid this problem is the problem of having lost trust because of a lot of releases lacking detail is Nintendo. And even Nintendo hasn't avoided it entirely because there's a lot of people who are starting to, you know, have less trust in how good Pokemon games are going to be when they come out.
Could be for Avalanche.
Not that, you know, they're like, they'll be bad, but like, you know, they're no longer expecting them
Put the war on pause.
to be really good. You know what I mean? It used to be that when a new Pokemon game came out, everyone in my generation who liked Pokemon was ready for like the next Pokemon game. It was so exciting, and now it's just kind of like,
We're here to
yeah.
rescue Aerith, remember? We don't need
The
more
next
attention than
Pokemon
what we
game
get.
came
We
out.
need to be
It,
smart.
Yeah, I hear
whatever.
you, but my soul
Like that's the general sentiment around Sword and Shield. Like, if you're not like hard into Pokemon,
Well, then make it later.
there were a lot of people who just, you know, there's a lot more about it. But like all of Nintendo's other franchises, you know, like Zelda and Mario are all doing really well. In fact, at this time when other companies were doing less detail-oriented stuff, Nintendo came out with Mario Odyssey and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which are easily like the best and most detail-oriented games in both of those franchises in a long time. You know, Odyssey is, I think, if I put my nostalgia aside, it would be my favorite 3D Mario game. Easily. I just have a lot of nostalgia for Sunshine, so, you know, I can't just give it up. No healing. Okay, fine, your friend will heal you, but I'll kill you right afterwards to make his healing pointless. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's just something that I find really unfortunate about the way,
You never planned to be stealthy in the first place.
Don't remember, maybe not.
but it's definitely, something that I wish, games would get back to, because, of course, like, you know, there have always been overambitious games,
Be a
like,
service entrance in the back.
games that suffer from scope creep isn't really new. I mean, just look at even things that are classics, like Secret of Mana. Secret of Mana suffers from scope creep so bad. There are entire sections of that game that don't work quite right, including how large parts of like the EXP system work, where it all just doesn't, you know, work quite right. And the game still works fine enough for you to beat it, and it's still a good game. So like, it's not necessarily like it's a new problem in its entirety. It's that the problem has gotten worse. Because like, Secret of Mana is the only really popular game from that time that I can think of that really suffered from scope creep, or at least whose problems can be attributed to scope creep. Because Secret of Mana is quite obviously, when you play it, an unfinished game. They released that game before it was entirely done. They released it when it was done enough for release, and like, there were definitely ideas and things that they had that they just didn't finish. And I would be very surprised if anyone ever came out and said that, oh no, this is the way it was designed to be shipped. No, they were in crunch time. They cut some things last minute, like, and you can feel that in the game. But you can't feel that with most of the other games of that time. You know, at least all the other popular ones anyway. I'm sure there's, you know, there's always going to be plenty of examples of every kind of bad design if you go into every game ever, right? But it's something that's become a lot more prevalent. I've seen a lot more big companies doing it. And it's not even just the games like
You're done.
it's not even just the games that come out that are obviously half-baked, but it's ones like this where this is a good game, but if they'd actually done some more playtesting and adjusted for even just another 2 months, this would have been an amazing game, because there's just, it's a lot of quick fixes, things that are just don't feel quite right, that if they'd done a little bit more playtesting, they could have fixed. And it wouldn't have made the game perfect, because, you know, that's hard, but they could have made an absolutely amazing game. And it's just saddening that they missed that opportunity. If I was just gonna get stunned and get murdered, huh? Yep, he sure is. Okay, Tifa just is also getting stunned and then murdered. Cool. I would love it if I could see what was going on too. I'm not a fan of the weird dark red screens. At some point someone started doing them and everyone was like, oh, that's a great idea, and it wasn't.
Taking over.
I can still fight.
Like, the way some games implement it is good. The way this game implements it is not.
I'll be fine.
And I think okay, so the reason why this game's implementation of it is bad is because of other things about the game. It's not actually the that's the problem. It's a lot of other things that make that the problem, if that makes sense. Because in and of itself, it isn't actually what's wrong here.
I got you.
Okay, I need to actually lessen the amount of enemies here. But that would require that I get enough distance. Okay, Tifa, could you make sure Cloud doesn't bite it? Or not, because you're gonna get interrupted and everyone's just gonna die. So we're gonna hope that Barrett can get off this Kira. I mean, he got off the Kira. I'm just really annoyed. And Tifa's in a corner. Which is not a good place to be because she's just gonna get comboed. Yep.
I was stronger than this.
I got exactly 1 button press worth of commands in before Tifa died. And there was no button press I could do there that would get her out of the situation. Yeah, there was not much I could do there. The only thing that could have made that situation as a whole better was having first strike on someone. So that way I could have started off with an action and maybe gotten rid of one of the enemies from the beginning. I really hate the elite riot shield guys. I think they're dumb. And it's definitely in contrast to their base version, which I really like. But the elite version is dumb, and I really wish they didn't exist in the game. Also, auto target, please. Auto target, please. Don't screw me like this. Okay, then. For the record, that throat clamp obviously missed, and then still hit me somehow. And I'm a little salty about the fact that that still hit me, because it really shouldn't have, and it's an absolute crime that it did. Like, but the reason I hate the elite guys is for a couple of reasons. The elite ones is for a couple of reasons. The main one being that they take the main weakness of the elite ones and remove it. So you are now left with only one option, and actually they remove two of the weaknesses, so even worse. So you are only left with one option to deal with them, which just doesn't feel very good. But yeah, so instead of having three options to deal with those guys, you are instead left with only one option, which definitely feels worse. And it's dumb that they do that, and they shouldn't. And that's what it comes down to. And if you're wondering what those three options are, so the first one is, like all elite enemies, they don't stagger very easily, which on its own isn't that big of a problem. The problem is that they aren't in a vacuum, is that that ability isn't in a vacuum. It's combined with the fact that they shield their front, and that really hate lightning magic in this game because it's significantly better than ice magic. But anyway, so what makes them so dumb is, so they resist being staggered or just being interrupted, like all elite enemies, which is annoying, and I've already talked about that. The problem when it comes to them is that that's one of the ways to handle them. So when you fight a normal riot trooper, you have three options that can actually deal with them. Four if you have Aerith. The first is to use magic. That's the easiest option if you have the actions for it. You just cast magic at them, and it deals with the problem. And you know, that's a relatively good solution, is to just cast magic at them like that. And I think this will probably be the win because I got all three of these guys caught in my in one spell. And that's definitely like the easiest way to deal with them, but it's also the most dangerous if there's other enemies to fight, like in this situation where there's plenty of other enemies around for me to fight.
Move aside.
Make way. Cut through.
I also managed this time to not get knocked or otherwise enter the area where the next set of enemies spawns. So, you know, that's good. Very considerate of them to watch their friends die instead of helping. But yeah, so like your other option, since they negate all physical attacks, is to also, do we ever fight riot troopers when we have Aerith? I don't remember if we do, and if we don't, I'm annoyed by that reality, since she is one of the best at dealing with them, since all of her attacks are magic and therefore their shield doesn't help them. I don't remember facing any as her, but except I think maybe in the Coliseum. But anyway, so what I was saying is your other choice when dealing with them is to roll behind them or otherwise get behind them and then attack. And on the normal ones, this works quite well because they'll be interrupted for a second so you can get a few hits in. And so this is an actually substantial way of lessening their health bar. The problem there is on elite ones, that just doesn't work. Because they're not staggerable, it's not an effective way to lessen their health bar because they just turn around. You get maybe 1 or 2 hits in, and then your attacks get bounced off by their shield. It makes it not an effective way to get rid of their health bar, and if there's a lot of enemies around, you're likely to get punished for it with death. Or at least with significant damage.
Sure hope no one else knows we're here.
And then your third way of dealing with the regular ones is controlling Cloud and countering them. But you can't counter the elite ones because they have stun batons. And Cloud can't counter those for some reason. They stun him instead of him countering. And that's just true of all stun baton enemies. It's not just them. All enemies that use electricity, Cloud can't counter. Like how awkward that, Oh, well, fine then. I could totally run up that fast enough to beat the... to beat it, but whatever. Anyway. But yeah, it's this... It makes the elite riot troopers a very annoying enemy to face.
This building's incredible.
Because no matter what you do, you're just kind of stuck waiting to have an action to cast magic on them.
I'm gonna tear it down and burn the rubble.
You don't
Not
really
today.
have
Yeah.
any other options. That becomes the only option you actually have.
Let's just keep heading up.
Anyway,
So, how do we get upstairs?
Either the elevator or the emergency stairwell.
Isn't the lab we're looking for on one of the top floors? I vote we take the elevator.
we're going to take the stairwell this time. If it gives me the option. Authorized keycard is required. Don't I still have one in my inventory?
Upstairs without a key card.
Like, I'm pretty sure that in my key items, I still have the key card. Let's check, shall we? Could have sworn it was here. Does it disappear when I enter this chapter, maybe?
Okay, guys. Wish me luck.
You be careful.
Aren't I always?
This is cool for about the first couple of seconds. And then it gets really old. Because this is the fastest I can possibly move, and I don't have to do anything here. This is, I just hold forward, effectively.
Tifa!
Oh shit! Tifa!
Are you okay?
I thought I was dead for sure.
Not really, that fall would not kill you. It would hurt, don't get me wrong. But unless you fell on your neck, that fall wouldn't kill you. Hurt you, definitely. And how hurt would probably depend on how exactly you landed, but it's not likely to kill you. Alright, I have to go around. Up we go. Where we stop, nobody knows.
That's fine. Bring it on.
At least this feels less awkward than making Cloud do it was earlier. Also, why do they make me turn here? If turning is so slow and frustrating, why are they making me do it? If I were them, I would have covered that up. You know, never make the player turn. Because, like, look at how obnoxiously slow that is. And, like, you guys may think that, oh, I'm not pressing the buttons very fast. But no, that is as fast as it will let me turn. That is maximum speed. That is, like, I am immediately holding that direction, the direction to turn, as soon as I stop moving. And that's just how long it takes for it to actually turn. It's not even that, like, the pullover, the her,
So bad.
like, it's not even that, like, that part, the actual turn animation
Pretty close.
is that bad. It's more
Just need to
that
make it over there.
the actual, speed at which she, you know, at which it registers that I'm trying to turn is bad. Because what it does is it forces me to stop for a second before I can turn. See, like look, when I try and turn right here, it brings me to a stop and then lets me turn. It doesn't let me turn while she's moving, which, you know, from a safety perspective kind of makes sense. But on the other hand, Tifa is literally could be a trained acrobat in this, and has done much more dangerous stuff on regular during fights. So kind of annoys me that that she's so cautious during this. Like, let's not forget that she jumps multiple stories into the air to fight flying enemies. But this, oh man, this be hard. She jumps higher than this during battle. That's the problem with having that kind of disconnect between combat and everything else, is like they could have just directly jumped that. There was no need to do this whole long complicated thing, because they totally could just directly jump it. Oh yeah, that's right, we have to interact for this. That's how you do it. I forgot the controls for this for a second. It has been a few hours since I was last in this section.
That's some fine work.
But yeah, that is a little bit of a problem with having that big of a disconnect between combat and not combat. But yeah, that's all for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.